can't draw a straight line. I don't have the talent, Bob, to do what you're doing. That's baloney. Talent is a pursued interest. In other words, anything that you're willing to practice, you can do. And this is no exception.
Before we get into this week's vlog, I do want to recognize the fact that Sudan is currently going through one of the most serious humanitarian crises in recent history. A lot of the times, Sudan gets overlooked, especially within the Muslim community, and Sudan is suffering. If you take anything away from this video, I really hope that you can just take a second to check out the description box. I'm gonna have some relief funds to check out where you can donate to and just become a little bit more informed. The things that are happening in this country, the things that are happening globally, they have an impact. They're interrelated, they're interconnected, and I think it's a responsibility to do what we can in our power to not only be conscious of that connection, but also to do our best in our efforts. I think especially within the Muslim community, Sudan gets overlooked and neglected. And so I'd love if you could take a second just to check out the description box. May Allah reward you for your efforts and keep your eyes on Sudan. I woke up this morning and my face was puff central, hence the eye patches. I have no idea if these are a hoax or not. I keep them in the fridge overnight and they have a really nice cooling effect. Welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new, I would love if you guys could take a second to subscribe. Just getting started with my morning. I got a workout in, I had breakfast. My mom made chicken noodle soup from scratch this morning, you guys, and that was just the best thing to come back from my workout to. I have a pretty jam-packed day. I'm getting ready for not one, but 2 doctor's appointments, and then I have a meeting and just some admin work that I need to get done today. I really wanted today to be an editing day. Looking at my agenda, I don't think I'm gonna have the chance to edit, but I have a couple room updates that I'm excited to share. So yesterday I made the executive decision to move my bed, and that came with some adjustments that need to be made. My bed used to be against this wall. It used to be just kind of in the corner. I really liked it. It was really cozy, but I ended up deciding to move my nightstand over to this side, move my bed slightly over, just because I get the most natural lighting from these windows, and it was really difficult to be able to vlog or film in this corner. So I decided to move the bed just a little bit so that I have enough space to fit a tripod there. It's also really nice and functional because making a bed when you have a corner bed is actually the most frustrating thing. The only annoying thing is I had my collage wall centered in the middle. I was kind of faced with the choice of either redoing the whole thing and adjusting it to the right or just adding more pictures. So I decided to add more pictures because honestly it was a lot, but I'm excited. I already really like the collage wall. When I first put it together, it was such a serotonin boost, so I'm excited to see the final product. Everything here is kind of the same. I was debating if I wanted to move the mirror over, but I think I most likely will keep the mirror just in this spot. Honestly, just woke up this morning in a mood to change things. Like something was just not right about my room, and I really feel like even just little adjustments like this help. I ended up doing the collage wall last night because I was so excited, and I am actually really obsessed with the final product. My mom was making a joke that I'm going back to 2020 because I used to have the most crazy, insane, overstimulating collage wall in my room, but I feel like this collage wall just is a lot more intentional. I feel like it reflects a lot more of not only what's aesthetically pleasing to me, but my actual interests, and it also just has a lot more of a cohesive color scheme, which helps. All in all, I'm really happy with how she came together. I really do feel like investing in your space is important, even if you're going to be in the space for a short period of time. When I was in college, I always took the time to make sure every year I invested time into creating a space that I was excited to come back to at the end of the day, even if I was only staying in a place for a year, because it really does make a difference, and it's always super nice to just come back to a cozy space that gives you a little serotonin boost. Especially in college, moving far away from home, not being close to community, it's really nice to have a space that really feels like your own, and it's really hard to make a temporary space feel lived in, feel like it's your own, but just like personalizing it to your taste, your interests, all those things really makes a difference. I think it's time for these to come off. A lot of us grew up seeing perfectionism as a good thing, a standard to work towards in school, in business, in our social lives. But perfectionism is the voice of self-doubt that holds us back, the feeling of uncertainty that stops us from starting something, failing, and starting again. This season, I'm really trying to quiet that voice of perfectionism and take that first step towards something, even if it doesn't look pretty just yet. I just finished filming my fall book recs video. It honestly made me so excited for the fall and just fall reading. I'll give you guys a sneak peek. These are the books that I included in that video and I talked about. I also just shared some general tips on how to read more if you're looking to get into reading. I highly recommend reading. I mean, I'm a little bit biased because reading is probably my #1 favorite hobby and the thing that I do the most outside of school and work. Given current literacy rates, it really is worth the investment because it affects so many aspects of your life. It can really shape your perspective on the world. Reading has just always been a part of my life. Funny story, growing up, my sisters and I all really liked reading. I would say out of the 3 of us, I definitely read the most. But when we were younger, my mom didn't realize reading was actually a good thing. So she would take away our books to punish us, or she would tell us like, you've been reading too much, like you need to stop reading. And then one year she went to, I think it was my parent-teacher conference, and they were telling her, wow, your daughter's vocabulary is really good. It must be all the reading she's doing. That's when it clicked that reading was actually a good thing. And so from that day forward, she let me read as much as I wanted. It's definitely one of those things though, where there are periods of time in your life where you just don't really have as much time for it. Like, I think it was 2021 or 2022, probably 2021, where I read 100 books easily without even trying. And last year I struggled to even make it to 50. So it's just, honestly, there are certain periods of time in your life where you just have more time for it. And when you do, you gotta take advantage. Mama Robotic was just filming a TikTok. I think I'm gonna start doing a series on TikTok called Finishing Touches, where I just share my finishing touches of me getting ready for July. It's a fun ritual and I feel like it's fun to bring you guys along. I'm also not as rushed as a full-on get ready with me. This is the outfit for today. I'm wearing a Shop Fatima Jello linen wrap dress. I'll link it in the description box. This dress is just the most gorgeous dress for fall. I'm telling you guys, I don't typically wear red, but this dress is honestly making me want to reintroduce red into my wardrobe again. It is so pretty. I'm obsessed, and it's so comfy and flowy, but it also has like a really nice cinched fit to it. It's a perfect fall dress. In general, they have really cute pieces. They're just honestly such a underrated brand. I wanted to come on here to share my scent combo of the day because my mom is the queen of perfumes. She has such great taste in perfume. A lot of the scents that I wear come from her recommendations. I know mixing scents and doing like scent combos is definitely controversial. My mom doesn't believe in it, but I like it because I feel like you can kind of create your own blend of scents that's unique to you. It's also a great way to get through some of your perfumes if it takes you a minute. Like, I will have a bottle of perfume for so long, to the point where my mom is like looking at my perfume shelf and is like, do you even wear that perfume? But no, it just takes me a while to get through my perfumes. And I really like to savor the ones that I like. Today's scent combo is Black Opium, a classic. I feel like most people love this perfume, but I mixed it with this Rayhan Milky perfume that has more of like a oudi, just musky scent to it and undertone. I wore this the other day to a doctor's appointment. The front desk was asking me what I was wearing, and I'm actually the worst. Like, I don't know the names of scents and perfumes, so I'm gonna try and start getting into remembering them and sharing them. But this is just like a great classic Arab smelling perfume. What are you guys wearing? What's your go-to fall scent combo? started listening to the Mel Robbins podcast. This morning I'm listening to a really great episode that I highly recommend. I'll link it in the description box. It's how to communicate with confidence and ease. I was talking about this actually in the Disclaimers Aside reboot, which if you haven't seen, Disclaimers Aside is back. The first episode of Disclaimers Aside 2.0 launched yesterday. In that episode, I got a comment on a short of someone just asking about advice on how to speak more clearly, more eloquently, and to speak with more confidence. I feel like this is a really great podcast episode that kind of just pertains to that topic. I kind of just answered the question like briefly in the podcast episode. I didn't really get too much in depth with it, but I think this is a really great episode to listen to. It really helps you understand how to be a better conversationalist, how to ask better questions, how to listen better. And I think it's a valuable skill in whatever job or whatever industry that you're in. A lot of the times we can get very self-centered and just kind of focus on ourselves and worry about how we're performing in a conversation, and we don't really see it as an exchange between two people. And the episode kind of touches on some of the skills on how to really just become a better conversationalist. I'm really enjoying the episode because for me, I kind of struggle with how to show up in professional spaces and not be robotic, how to toe the line between being somewhat of my authentic self but also being professional about it. And it definitely changes industry to industry. It really depends on what it is, what industry you're working in. I think when in corporate America, in the law, it can be a little bit difficult because the professional standards are very different, especially if you are someone who comes from a marginalized community. The lens, the scope is heavily on you. So in those spaces, a lot of the times I overthink, and a lot of the times I kind of just default to a very robotic personality, but that also holds you back. So it's really just about finding a balance. This episode I think is really, really good for those of you who are really trying to work on becoming a better conversationalist in any aspect. I've been enjoying the Mel Robbins podcast so far. I understand why everyone loves the podcast so much. It's different from the book. The reason why I didn't pick up the podcast for a while was I had read the book, so I figured I got what I needed. But the podcast functions differently than the book because the book is about her theory and it ties it a lot to her life and also just how you can apply it to your own life. Whereas the podcast is more so her also sharing her perspective, but her bringing on experts and having conversations about topics that she knows nothing about or she's not really an expertise on. Those are some of my favorite podcasts to listen to because I feel like I can just learn a lot about a lot of different areas. I also make sure to give Disclaimers Aside a listen if you guys are into podcasts. Update on the podcast. I've been taking a break from podcasting since May, which I covered in that first episode. Recently, I've been kind of having the urge and desire to bring the podcast back, but I wanted to change up the format just a little bit because I felt like there are certain changes that I wanted to make with Disclaimers Aside, and I also wanted it to be more sustainable for me because inshallah next year I'm planning on going to law school and I know I'm going to be super busy, so I need to be intentional moving into next year about my commitments and what are things that I could feasibly continue next year. I'm really trying to think about how I can set up my life to be as seamless as a transition as possible, especially going into the end half of this post-grad era. And so I figured creating a visual podcast would work the best because YouTube is my main platform, and I think a lot of the times with like posting on YouTube, posting on TikTok, keeping up on Instagram, sometimes it can be difficult to keep up with all the platforms. I figured if I integrated Disclaimers Aside into every time I come on here to chat. Okay, I hope that's not too loud. The thing is, once they start the landscaping, it's gonna be on for a while. I figured if I integrate Disclaimers Aside into this channel, it'll be a lot more easier to keep up with because the once a month episodes will replace whatever video I was going to post on YouTube that month. I also just decided to scale back on my commitment to how often podcast episodes would come. So I essentially landed on one episode a month, whereas before it was a bi-weekly podcast. I definitely have a lot of ideas for podcast episodes, so I was tempted to commit to a bi-weekly podcast, But I think at the beginning, whenever you're starting something, that always happens. You naturally have a lot of ideas and you feel creatively fulfilled. I'm also trying to keep in mind the fact that I took a break from podcasting for 4 or 5 months. And so I have a lot of ideas at the forefront of my mind. But in general, I think it really aligns with just kind of the direction of how I want this channel to go. I love vlogging. I love documenting my life, and I love these vlogs. I feel like it's just like a really fun hangout session with you guys. But I also really love discussion videos and just talking about random topics in depth. And I feel like it's a great way for me to kind of share my learning and also just like hear your guys' perspective in the comment sections. So I've been wanting to do more discussion style videos about just random topics, and I've been doing a few here and there to mix in with the vlogs. But I figure since that's kind of a direction that I also want to incorporate on this channel, it makes sense to save the recording audio of those conversations and post them to disclaimers aside, because some people just aren't YouTube people, which I totally understand. I'm a long form content girly and I love YouTube. I've been watching YouTube since I was in middle school. It was like the only social media my parents let me have. I wasn't allowed to be on Instagram or Snapchat or anything else until middle of high school, like sophomore year of high school. So for me, it's a very nostalgic space. I feel like I learn a lot. I feel like I get a lot of inspiration from YouTube, but I know that's not the case for everyone. I know a lot of people are kind of shifting over towards the short form content side of the world. And then there's the bucket of people who just really love podcasts and listening to podcasts and want to have something to listen to on drives or while you're going on your walk. Totally get that. So I just want to make these conversations and this content as accessible for you guys as possible. So I will be recording with a mic. I actually went and got the DJI Mic Mini 2. It's charging right now, but I'll show you guys later, and it works amazing. I've been eyeing this microphone for such a long time and I was afraid to test it out yesterday, but it worked perfectly. It was compatible with my Canon V10. It was amazing. So I went ahead, ordered a mic, and that was really nice too, because then my sound quality went up as well in comparison to my other podcast episodes. And I just spontaneously recorded an episode, and I feel like it'll be nice because also too I'll have the video component of it, and Spotify actually allows you to upload the video onto Spotify just in case there's anyone on Spotify who wants to see the video format, and then the video format will live here on YouTube. It's also nice too because sometimes it could feel like with podcasting I was speaking into a void because there wasn't really a direct comment section. You could leave a review, but I don't think most people leave reviews. I personally don't. But this way, having this YouTube comment section, it can be just a little bit more of conversation. In general, thank you guys so much for your support and your kind messages. Actually, what was the push for me to reboot Disclaimers Aside was this weekend I was getting my hair braided, and so I decided to do like a Q&A on my Instagram stories. I was gonna be in the chair for so long. I got a few of you guys just asking about the podcast and when I was coming back, and honestly, that re-triggered my guilt of taking a break. Taking breaks are definitely natural, but I'm hoping with this once a month schedule it'll be a lot more sustainable moving forward. I definitely want to implement like tools like pre-recording episodes or just like pre-outlining episodes to help it be more of a consistent thing. Friends and I are meeting up for a little work sesh at a cafe, so I kind of want to do a no makeup look. I was actually sent Giorgio Armani's Luminous Silk Cheek Tints for a collaboration over on TikTok. I filmed that yesterday and I'm basically just waiting for approval from the brand to post. But I tried these on yesterday and they were really, really nice. It was my first time trying them on camera. I don't know if that was the smartest idea. I think in the future I need to try products on before actually filming the content, because I didn't know if it was going to be too much, too little. Especially when it comes to blush, the way that you apply it, I feel like it really makes a difference. But I tried the blushes on with foundation underneath and it looked really, really nice. So I kind of want to try it without foundation, just in like the no makeup look that I would typically do on a daily basis. So let's try that out. All my skincare prep is pretty much done. The only thing that I really do in terms of, I guess, complexion products is I'll use a little bit of the e.l.f. Halo Glow for just like a little bit of a glow. And I usually just go in with this on the high points of my face. So up the cheekbones, down the bridge of my nose, and also on the other side. And this product I've been raving for years. It's a super, super lightweight product. You can use it in a lot of different ways. You can use it as a highlighter. You can use it all over your face, underneath your foundation, because I guess this product is supposed to be a dupe of the Charlotte Tilbury product. The first time that I wore it, I actually tried to use it as a foundation and it was giving Shine Central. It was truly a scary moment. So I never did that again. I just basically use it as a highlighter and it's really nice. I think it works really well as a highlighter for me. It gives me just a really nice natural glow and finish. And I like to pair it with blush because it just gives more of a natural feel to my blush. I'm not going to do a ton of contour, but I'll do a little bit. I'm going to start off with the Merit complexion stick. This is like a multi-stick that you can use for a lot of different uses. The shade that they sent is just a little bit darker than my natural skin tone, so I kind of just use it almost like as a cream contour almost. It has the perfect formula for a cream contour, but it's not dark enough for my shade to be a cream contour, just so that it doesn't go to waste. And because I love the formula so much, I use that to start off my contour so it's not super harsh, and then I go in with a darker powder contour. So now for the blushes, I have two. The first one is the shade 65. I did a lot of research when I was trying to pick out what shades I wanted to try out. I saw a lot of people on TikTok saying this is really, really good for darker skin tones. I really didn't want to choose one that would look ashy with my complexion, and this is kind of more of a berry shade. So yesterday when I was trying it on, I started off with a little and it was like the perfect amount, and then I think I went too far and I immediately regretted it. So we're gonna start off with a little. Also yesterday what I did was I put it on my hand first because I wasn't sure, but I think I'm just gonna swipe her directly on my cheeks and see how that works. And then I have this stippled brush from Merit Beauty that I really like that we'll use to blend in. Okay, so that's definitely a lot. Okay, so it was definitely better to put it on my hand because that was very pigmented. Hold on a sec. I'm gonna have to go fix this. Okay, I got it to the point where I probably wouldn't get accusations of being blush blind, but the issue is I really want to go in with my second shade because this to me is the perfect fall blush combo, the shade 65 with the 42S. This is kind of like a burnt sienna color. It brings in a lot more warmth. For this one, I'm gonna put it on my hand first. With liquid blush, you really have to be careful. I got used to cream blush where you can kind of play around and build up with it. That's as much as I can honestly do. I still feel like that could definitely be blent in a little bit more. I finished reading Abundance by Ezra Klein and rated it a 5 out of 5 stars. I devoured that book. I originally picked up the book because I really liked his book, Why We Were Polarized. I had to read that for a class in college and it was one of the most interesting reads. That book is about political polarization in the US and how it's affecting contemporary politics. He's a journalist. He works for the New York Times and he has his own podcast that I occasionally listen to episodes on. And even though I don't really agree with all of his political positions, I do kind of respect his perspective and I really do appreciate how he really attempts to just bring different perspectives to his show. He also just has a really great way of fostering really interesting conversations. and it really comes out in his writing as well. So Abundance was a really interesting read because it was kind of about a lot of the different factors behind what is stopping the US in attaining progress. So in terms of building more affordable housing, in terms of expanding infrastructure, dealing with transitioning into cleaner, greener forms of energy. And then the second half of the book kind of talks about what is stopping us in terms of innovation when it comes to health science, what's stopping innovation in terms of that. It talks a lot about the pandemic and a lot of the behind the scenes of getting the vaccines approved and spread, and it combines science, politics, economics. So I rated that one a 5 out of 5 stars. I actually listened to that one on audio, but this is one of those reads where I really do wish I had the physical copy of it because the cover is so pretty and I would love to just have it on my shelves. I did get through it really, really quickly. There's a lot of information in the book, so it's something that I could foresee myself potentially rereading in the future. So I may have to pick up a physical copy of that one. But right now I am starting The Untethered Soul. Let me know if you guys have read this book because I've heard such great things about this book if you really want to work on yourself, understand yourself better. It's the first week of November. It feels like time is just flying so quickly, and I was reflecting on October and where I'm at with my goals and everything for the year. Alhamdulillah, I feel like I've made a lot of progress on my goals for the year, my intentions, and so I feel like I need to spend November and December just being a little bit more intentional and thinking about kind of what I want out of 2026, who I want to show up as next year, and I feel like that requires some self-work. So my intention for November is to really spend this month just honestly detaching a little bit from social media, spending a little less time on my screens, reading more, journaling, reflecting. A lot of stuff that I always say I want to work on, but truly this month I really want to pivot and focus on that. And I feel like that book will kind of give me a good idea of the ways that I can kind of tweak my life, just even in small, minuscule ways to prioritize that self-work. Honestly, this morning it was really hitting me that looking at the calendar and just the trajectory of 2025, 2026, I have inshallah about 9 months until I would start in law school, and that's 9 months left of this post-grad era. Definitely cannot come sooner. I miss school so bad, but everyone that I talk to that's in law school is like, you need to really take advantage of this time and take care of yourself and do the things that you want to get done before you start that next chapter, because you're going to be so busy and so stressed. So on the other hand, I'm really trying to see this time as a blessing and try and make the most out of it rather than, I guess, wishing this time away. And I go through phases where I'm really, really good at it, where I'm really present and intentional. I can kind of romanticize this chapter of my life. And then I go through periods of times, I guess, where I struggle a little bit more. And I think these past few weeks I've been struggling a lot with comparison. It's just kind of a natural thing that comes with being in postgrad, and I just kind of have to check in with myself and remind myself that this is an opportunity. So alhamdulillah for this time. And honestly, 9 months sounds like a long time in the moment, but in the grand scheme of your life, 9 months goes by so quickly. And I remember even thinking back to where I was around this time last year. I was studying for the LSAT, and the one thing I wanted was just to have the test be done, to have the stress of it gone out of my life. I was listening to a podcast the other day where someone was saying that the problems never stop in life. You have a problem that you're dealing with in your life. You think in the moment, once that problem is solved, you'll be happy, you'll feel free, you'll feel less stressed, and then that problem gets solved and another problem comes into your life, and it's just a constant series of problems. And you kind of just have to detach from the problems themselves to be able to hold on to your inner peace. And I thought that was a really, really great metaphor, because it's so easy to fall into this trap of like, oh, once I'm done with school, or once I land that job, or once I'm living in this city, I'll be happy. Reach a certain point, I will be happy and I'll be able to enjoy my life and feel grateful for the point in my life that I'm in. But you have to be grateful for every single chapter and season of your life that you're in. Otherwise, you'll look back in decades on your life and realize that you essentially just squandered all of your time, and there were so many blessings and beautiful aspects of life that your eyes and your heart were kind of closed off to, I guess. So yeah, that is the most recent post-grad update. That, and we're not allowing perfectionism to hold us back.